Kofi Mensah stepped off the dusty bus in the heart of Anloga, a small coastal village in Ghana, his shoulders aching from the weight of a week-long trip to Accra. The salty breeze from the nearby Gulf of Guinea greeted him, but the sight before his home stopped him cold. His 3 weathered suitcases sat on the cracked pavement outside his house, a folded note tucked under the handle of the largest one. The handwriting was unmistakable, his daughter-in-law Edzo's tight, hurried scrawl, "If you want to stay here, we've prepared the shed. Your loving daughter-in-law." Rain clouds loomed over the village, and Kofi's hands shook as he reread the note. At 70, after 40 years in this house, he was being cast out. He'd built this home with his late wife, Efua, brick by brick, when their son, Kwame, was just a toddler. They'd planted the mango tree in the courtyard, chosen every clay tile, and painted the walls with vibrant colors that reflected their dreams. After Efua's death 3 years ago, Kofi had signed the house over to Kwame and Edzo to secure their future, though he quietly continued paying the mortgage from his pension. Before the TRO driver could pull away, Kofi dialed the bank. "Yes, Mr. Mensah," the clerk confirmed, "your payment of GHS 2,500 cleared last week, as always." Kofi thanked her, his voice low, as a raindrop hit his cheek. He stood there, staring at his life packed into bags, the home he'd poured his heart into now barring him entry. The rain began to fall in earnest as Kofi dragged his suitcases to the shed behind the house. The wooden door creaked open, revealing a cramped space with a thin mattress on the floor, a rickety stool, and a single bulb dangling from the ceiling. His clothes were stuffed into plastic bags, and his treasured books, dog-eared novels and photo albums of Efua and Kwame, were piled in a corner, labeled Kofi's things in Edzo's hand. He sank onto the mattress, the damp air clinging to his skin. Through the shed's tiny window, he could see the house, its warm lights glowing, a stark contrast to the cold reality of his new home. His phone buzzed with a text from Kwame, "Papa, we need the space. Edzo wants a sewing room for her business. The shed has everything you need. Please don't make this hard." Kofi's chest tightened. He'd spent countless nights nursing Kwame through malaria fevers, worked extra shifts at the fishing docks to fund his son's education, and cared for their daughter, Oma, so Kwame and Edzo could build their tailoring business. Now, he was an inconvenience, relegated to a shed like an old tool. He didn't reply. Instead, he called his oldest friend, Teta. "Kofi, what's wrong?" Teta's voice was sharp with concern. "They've put me in the shed," Kofi said, his voice breaking. "I need somewhere to stay." "I'm coming now," Teta replied without hesitation. "Be there in 15 minutes. As Kofi waited, the rain hammering the shed's tin roof, he made a decision. This house was his legacy, his sweat, his love, his life with Efua. He wouldn't let it be taken so easily. Teta arrived with his cousin, ESI, a lawyer with a calm demeanor and piercing eyes. Over a cup of sobolo at Teta's house, Kofi handed her his bank statements. "You've been paying the mortgage on a house you don't legally own," ESI said, her brow furrowing. "And they've moved you to the shed while planning to sell it?" Kofi nodded, shame creeping in. How had he let it come to this? "You have rights," ESI said. "Your payments could be argued as a verbal agreement. At the very least, you could recover what you've paid since the transfer." Teta, who'd been quiet, spoke up. "You need to talk to them first, Kofi. Give Kwame a chance to do right before you go legal." Kofi agreed, though doubt gnawed at him. The next morning, he stood at the front door of his own home, heart pounding as he knocked. Edzo answered, her smile thin. "Papa, we didn't expect you." "I need to speak with you and Kwame," Kofi said, his voice steady. Inside, the house felt foreign. The woven mat Efua had made was gone, replaced by a shiny new rug. Photos of their family, once proudly displayed, were tucked behind newer frames. Kwame appeared from the kitchen, a nervous edge to his voice. "Papa, why are you here?" "I heard you're selling the house," Kofi said, cutting to the point. Edzo and Kwame exchanged a glance. "We were going to tell you," Kwame said, avoiding Kofi's eyes. "We've got an offer on a place in Kita." "This is my home," Kofi said. "I built it with your mother. I've been paying the mortgage, Ghs 2,500 every month, to keep you here." Edzo's lips tightened. "That was your choice, Papa. We never asked you to." Kofi's hands clenched. "I did it for family. And now you push me to the shed." Kwame shifted uncomfortably. "The house is legally ours. You signed it over. We need to do what's best for Oma and our business." "And me?" Kofi asked. "What am I to you?" Edzo sighed. "Papa, we appreciate all you've done, but we need space. There's a nice elders' home in Kita. You'd be comfortable." "I don't want comfort," Kofi snapped. "I want respect." The silence was heavy. Kwame finally spoke, his tone patronizing. "Papa, don't make this harder than it needs to be." "I've stopped the mortgage payments," Kofi said quietly. "If you want to sell my home, you'll pay for it yourselves." Edzo's eyes widened. "You can't do that. Our credit, our plans." "Your plans," Kofi echoed. "Not mine." Kwame's face hardened. "Papa, this house was Mama's gift to me. It was never really yours." The words cut deep. Kofi turned to leave, pausing at the door. "Your mother would be ashamed of you, Kwame. And for the first time, so am I." That afternoon, Kofi saw a sign at Mama Zaifa's chop bar, "Help Wanted." He applied on the spot. "You want to serve food?" Teta asked, surprised, when Kofi told him. "I was a waiter in my youth," Kofi said. "I need my own money, my own life. I can't stay in your spare room forever." 2 days later, Kofi started work. The hours were long, his knees ached, but the cedis in his pocket were his, earned by his own hands. For the first time in years, he felt alive. Back at Teta's, Kofi ignored 7 missed calls from Kwame. The voicemail was frantic. "Papa, the bank called about Eileen." "What are you doing?" "Call me." Kofi deleted it. For once, Kwame would wait. Over a bowl of fufu, Teta asked, "How does it feel?" Kofi looked at the sunset over Enloga, the sky ablaze with orange and purple. "Like I'm waking up," he said. "Like I've been sleepwalking since Efua died." To Kofi Mensah, Teta said, raising his glass. "It's good to have you back." 3 weeks into his job at Mama Zaifa's, Kofi had found a rhythm. The work was hard but honest, and the regular smiles gave him purpose. Then Kwame appeared at the chop bar, looking out of place in his pressed shirt. "Papa, can we talk?" he asked, his voice softer than Kofi had heard in years. Mama Zaifa nodded. "Take 10, Kofi." In a quiet corner, Kwame studied him. You look different. I am different, Kofi said, wiping his hands on his apron. Papa, we're in trouble, Kwame said. The bank's threatening to foreclose because of the lien. Our credit's ruined. Kofi noted the expensive phone in Kwame's hand, the polished shoes. What do you want from me? We need you to lift the lien and resume payments, just until we sell the house. Kofi almost laughed. And what do I get? We'll make sure you're taken care of, Kwame said, as if it were a grand gesture. There's a good elders' home in Kita. I'm not interested in being taken care of, Kofi said. I've been taking care of you for years. Kwame's tone hardened. Be reasonable, Papa. You can't keep working here. You're 70. 70 and doing fine, Kofi corrected. I want my home back. Kwame laughed nervously. That's impossible. We've made an offer on the Kita house. Not my problem, Kofi said, standing. My break's over. Papa, please, Kwame said, desperation creeping in. We need this. The Kita house is perfect. I'll think about it, Kofi said. But I need something in writing. Meet me at ESI's office tomorrow at 3. At ESI's office, Kwame and Edzo arrived, dressed formally. Edzo smiled tight but confident. ESI slid a document across the desk. This is Mr. Mensah's proposal. Kwame read it, his face darkening. What is this? My condition, Kofi said. I left the lien and resume payments, but you sell the house back to me for the remaining mortgage balance. Edzo scoffed. That's absurd. The house is worth far more. It's worth what I've put into it, Kofi said. 40 years of payments, repairs, and memories. It's legally ours, Kwame snapped. With a lien, ESI interjected. Which complicates any sale. You could fight it, but it'll take months, maybe years. Your credit will tank, and that Kita house will be gone. Edzo stood. We'll get our own lawyer. You can try, Kofi said. But time's not on your side. After a tense discussion outside, they returned, faces grim. We'll accept, Kwame said. But I hope you know what this means for us. I do, Kofi said. And I hope you understand what it meant when you left my bags on the pavement. As they left, ESI gave Kofi a nod. You did right, Mr. Mensah. Kofi wasn't sure. Kwame's anger lingered in his mind, but so did the weight of his own resolve. For the first time in years, he felt like Kofi Mensah again, not just a father or a widower, but a man reclaiming his place in the world.